Go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. I'm not kidding you. If you have the smallest inkling that you have schizophrenia, go to the doctor. I know that's not what you want to hear, but you might have a brain tumor, dude. Just go. For the love of sweet baby Jesus, just go. Alright, okay. You're scared. You're scared of what the results might be, how people might look at you after. I mean, tough love, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. People are gonna look at you differently. They're gonna discredit you. They're gonna pity you. They're gonna walk on eggshells around you. It's gonna be different. I'm sorry. But you know what's really gonna discredit you? You know what's really gonna make people uncomfortable? Walking around your house with a knife because you think someone's going to kill you. Talking from experience. Just go. With every episode you have, it's harder to treat your symptoms. I swan to John, it's better to go now than to be so far gone later. The longer you go untreated, the worse you get. Stop the video, just go. Did you go? Did you get diagnosed? Alright, so you got schizophrenia. So do I. I'm S. I was diagnosed in the summer of 2018, and it's Schizophrenia Awareness Day. In celebration, here's some tips that have helped me over the years personally. Number 1 is medication. Your world is held together by your medication. This is your lifeline. Now hopefully, before watching this part of the video, you've already been to your doctor and gotten prescribed your medication. If you haven't, please get it. Schizophrenia can't be willed away with essential oils. You need professional help. Medication isn't what it used to be in the 80s. There's plenty of meds to choose from that don't have the automatic side effect of facial tics and lowering of white blood cells. Medication should be the first thing you pack if you go anywhere and the first thing you check if you feel your symptoms come on. Because, maybe you forgot it. Something I've done is get sample packs from my doctor to carry around in my jacket or bag, something that I take everywhere with me just in case I forget it at home. If you have a really hard time taking the medication as directed, ask your doctor about options for an injectable medication that you only have to take once a month or once every 2 weeks. You can make a whole day out of it, going out of town and grabbing a nice snack or doing something fun. Also, in regards to medication, you have to make sure it's right for you. See, it's no good if you have a side effect you can't stand. Whether it makes you tired or gain weight or have tummy troubles, you should be looking for the best one you can get for you. Why switch if it takes care of my symptoms? Well, because one day you're going to forget your medication. Maybe in a couple days you'll forget. Happens to everyone. And you're going to feel fine. You're actually not going to feel as tired or your stomach's going to feel great. So maybe you stop taking it, because you feel better than when you were on it. Everybody's done it and everybody's relapsed because of it. It is so dangerous. You have to make sure your medication is something that you can reliably take. The easier you make it on yourself, the more likely you're going to take care of yourself. If you can't find one that works any better but you still have the side effects you can't stand, there are ways to make the most of it. If your medication makes you sleepy, try taking it early in the night. That's exactly what I did when I was taking quetiapine. It'll help get you up in the morning better. If your medication makes you gain weight, avoid a lot of sugars and carbs and start walking and exercising a bit more. Exercising is pretty good for you anyway. It also helps to have someone help keep yourself accountable. I keep my medication in a monthly pill box in my living room where my roommates can check up on me. I know that sounds a little rough, but it really helps, especially for the weekends when I forget the most. Warning, big flashing lights warning. Be careful when switching medication. It can trigger psychotic symptoms because your brain is having a hard time getting used to the new chemicals and losing the old. Surround yourself with familiarity and don't plan any big changes or traveling at this time. Number 2, routine. Having a routine is so important. A lot of change is kind of harder for our brains to deal with. Stress is a really big trigger for psychosis. Also, the first thing I forget on vacation, you guessed it, my medication. I take it every day before work, and when I don't have work, I tend to forget it. When you experience change, good or bad, get ready to experience symptoms of psychosis. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Talk to your doctor about keeping sample packs of medication with a higher dose or raising the doses for this time. You can always lower it after a couple of weeks. Sleep is also incredibly important to keep routine. I can go months without an episode and weeks without any symptoms, but if I go on one night with 2 hours of sleep, I can go into full break. Maybe that's just me and the people I know, but it's still very important. You have to make sure you have a good amount of sleep. And on the nights that you're running on 2 hours and you hit that point, I mean, if you know, you know, where it's hard to sleep because you know something's going to happen if you do. At that point, it's just mind over mind, brother. Remove anything that can trigger hallucinations, turn on your comfort media, take some melatonin, have some chamomile tea, and force yourself down. If it's really bad, wake up a family member or roommate to talk to. Try taking your next day's medication early if you have to, too. As an example of loss of sleep triggering an episode, I know when I was in a very small amount of sleep and before getting medication, I was relying on my mother to put me back together. But to bring us to our next point, even in a well-lit room, I was glancing down the dark hallway my bedroom door opened up to. I was too embarrassed to tell her, but I saw a dark shadow man walk out of the hallway and heard her time and time again that night as she was trying to calm me down. All of which is to say, make sure your loved ones are aware of your triggers and remove any darkness or white noise. Taking us to number 3, get familiar with your triggers. Okay, I know the word trigger has some negative connotations to it nowadays, but you'll know what I mean when I describe it. Those things that immediately trigger some symptom, whether it be some delusion or auditory hallucination, etc. Personally, as an example, mine is dim lighting and the sound of running water. Dim lighting is really common. There's just a lot for your brain to work off of. Running water is like a lot of people's white noise. When I'm bad, I tend to hear very distinctive arguing between a couple when I hear it. I know some people's triggers are certain colors. Just try to limit your exposure to them and be aware when they're around and catch your eye so you know exactly what's going on when you start to hallucinate, and it's easier to ground yourself back to reality and avoid them. They can also change over time. It happens to everybody. You're not getting worse, you're just changing. Number 4, media consumption. It's good to limit your binge time of any media so you're not too immersed in the world that you start to slip. Try to keep track of how many episodes or minutes of a podcast you can handle and stick to that. What I like to do is after a few episodes or halfway through a movie, I take a bathroom break or snack break for 5 minutes to assess how my mind is taking in the information. If you feel that niggling in the back of your head that you're in the world rather than having a healthy separate experience from it, you might want to take a longer break to ground yourself or just call it a night. Also, depending on your delusions, try to steer towards lighter media. Shows or videos with depictions or descriptions of violence can feed violent delusions. Same with conspiracy videos that can feed paranoia. Even this doesn't stop all delusions though, so like I said, take frequent breaks with any media. For an example of binging a darker media, one time I watched The Haunting of Hill House with my roommate without any break, and it hardcore triggered the delusion that I have that I'm dead. I had to go to sleep right away. Number 5, recognize the early signs of psychosis. Here's a little list. Sleeping too much or too little, high anxiety or irritability, loss in concentration, sensitivity to light and colors, feeling depressed or bummed out, missing work or school, feeling high or excited, talking more or less than usual, loss of enjoyment in things, loss in personal hygiene, paranoia, and avoiding things you need to do. You don't have to experience all of these, but keep track of the symptoms that you had before your last bout of psychosis. They may change over time, so be familiar with this list of symptoms. Be open with your loved ones and doctor when you recognize them so they're aware of your state of mind and are ready to help you if you start to slip. Number 6, grounding. Despite being on medication, you're going to go through psychosis again. When you do, go to a safe, well-lit room with little distraction. If you have a comfort media that you can stand at the time, turn it on. Some things that help ground myself involves physical stimulus, so stuff like fidget toys or a good shower. Something that's good to focus on is writing your favorite names in a cool font in a notebook or drawing. I also really like smelling things like candles and incense. Maybe engage with a hobby like painting, playing an instrument, or gardening. Something to focus on the present. Anything that you can hold on to that's part of reality is good. If you're having bad problems with delusional thinking and hallucinations, I wouldn't even turn on comfort media. I would probably just go to my closest friends and family members and talk to them because they're part of reality. Number 7. Tell people close to you about your delusions and hallucinations. Make sure you're close to them and it's not someone you've only met recently who isn't as aware of your illness. If voices are telling you not to trust your friends and family, tell them and your doctor. It takes away some of the power of those thoughts and it'll help your loved ones understand you more. I felt so much relief when I finally told my very close friend that I thought she was going to kill me. She dropped what she was doing and talked to me about it. I admit I was still afraid when she had a knife in her hand to cook dinner that night, but it took away the mystery and power those voices had over me. Number 8. Have your friends and family keep an eye on you. Give your loved ones your doctor's number and access to your medical records. You're going to have to be honest with them about your symptoms so that they can look out for them. There might come a time when you've isolated yourself so much you don't trust them anymore and you're feeling worse and worse with worse and worse symptoms. I know it sucks to feel like you have everyone watching you and waiting for you to snap, but they really do care about you and want you to be healthy. Now, they don't have to be rude about it. There are some times when I'm happy or I'm upset with something someone has done, and I've had people take that time to ask me if I've taken my medication. Very inappropriate and insulting. Maybe ask them to glance at your medication before asking something like that if they're really concerned. Make it clear that you're not the embodiment of schizophrenia. You can have thoughts and feelings outside of it. Number 9, invest in therapy. Schizophrenia can make it hard to manage emotions, so getting it out to someone unbiased away from the situations bothering you helps a lot. Just make sure you're being honest and transparent with your therapist, just like your doctor, or you're pretty much paying for nothing. Also, try journaling. That helps to get some of those tangled up thoughts and emotions out when you feel like you can't tell anyone. Alright, now I'm going to pass you some mad harsh truths. We're back to number 1. You are not a psychic. I know that sounds a little silly, but there are a lot of people that believe and will try to convince you that you have otherworldly power, that your illness is really a gift. And I know you want something good about this. I know everything's awful, but if it ends up meaning something, it might make it all worth it. And I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It is genetics. It is trauma. It is not magic. You're not magic. Number 2, this is the hardest truth. If you're close to committing undue, if you're horribly depressed, if you feel horrible and trapped, and you've just been diagnosed, you need to click off this video now. And I mean it. Some of you are not ready to hear this information solidified in front of you. Okay, you're just like someone with depression and anxiety and a myriad of other common mental illnesses. There's no cure. You're treatable. Your symptoms are manageable. You are not curable. I know that's hard to hear, but you have to know it. Drill into your brain. You can't drain yourself dry on alternative medicine to try to fix you. It's not going to work. I'm sorry. I know. This sucks. I know everything seems bleak, but in the end, you're your own advocate and you can't let yourself be taken advantage of by bad people. I know horror story after horror story of people spending their entire life savings, everything they have, trying to fix themselves. And it's not going to work, and it didn't for them. I'm sorry. And I don't mean to leave you with that big bummer, but that's really all I got for you. I hope this helps somewhat to keep things together. I know it can get rough, but keep moving and always remember, you're not a schizophrenic. You have schizophrenia. Your illness doesn't define you. And that was my video. This is the unscripted S, like wild, coming at you live. I'm sorry if this didn't help. I'm still pretty green myself, as this is the only like 4th year that I've been experiencing symptoms of schizophrenia. But if it didn't, I put down a pretty good resource that I found online that is pointed towards us, like helping ourselves. So it's like one of the only resources that I found like that, because like everything is pointed towards your family members. So that kind of sucks. I also put down a couple books that I really liked. One is The Center Cannot Hold, and you probably heard of it. It's like the book that's written by someone with schizophrenia. It's really good. It made me feel a lot less alone, and I really liked it. The other one that's down there is A Quiet Place, I believe it's called. If it's not, it's still in the same place. But that one's still really cool. That one's more for like for a family, I would think, that I would give a family member, because it's more about like how a whole entire family coming to cope with someone being diagnosed with schizophrenia and like dealing with those symptoms. I'm making a video right now that's for your family members and for the family members of people who have schizophrenia but are resistant to treatment for whatever reason. That's scripted, but I haven't recorded it yet. I still got to get with my family to see their thoughts on it and see if I missed anything they're concerned about, because really it's also for them, because I'm not even sure if anyone's going to see this video, but I know that they will. But yeah, I really hope that you liked it. I hope that any of this helps, even anything, if this didn't, something in the description will help you. Yeah, thank you for watching. I love you. I wish the best for you. God bless.